Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Wong, IMU Step Product Manager, and today I'm proud to introduce our latest metric, impact asymmetry. During running-based activities, every time the lower limbs land on the ground, a multitude of impacts of varying intensities are propagated into them. Impact asymmetry describes the between-limb difference in the average impact intensity measured at the lower limbs during an IMU Step session. It's calculated by dividing the difference in left and right limb average intensity by their sum. This metric, expressed as a percentage, is an objective measure describing how a person is loading one side of their body compared to the other, depending on the type of activity. In the IMU Step dashboard, when looking at the date table, the impact asymmetry represents the relative impact asymmetry for that day. Orange text represents an asymmetry to the right, and blue text represents an asymmetry to the left. Average intensity, next to impact asymmetry, describes the average intensity of all impacts from both left and right legs. An average intensity of 10G with an asymmetry of 10% left would indicate an average intensity of 11G on the left leg and 9G on the right leg. On selection of a session and scrolling down to the session asymmetry area, you can view the average intensities for both left and right legs, as well as the impact asymmetry yielded from those values. This can be interpreted for the whole session or a portion of it when brushing. Looking at the asymmetry tree, average intensity is derived from the impacts detected during the region the brush is covering. We recommend having at least 50 steps on each leg to ensure you have captured a broad range of the impacts on each leg during an activity, ensuring that the resultant asymmetry value is representative. Moving to the impact asymmetry history area, we can see there are two new graphs showing impact asymmetry in one and average intensity for each leg with impact load on the other. Each graph can be visualized by session, by day, or by week. Looking at the first graph, if the line is above zero, then the asymmetry is to the right. Below zero, it is to the left. This is reciprocated by the graph below, showing the average intensity for each session for both legs. The larger the gap between the orange and blue lines, the greater the difference in average intensity between the left and right legs. The greater the difference in average intensity between the left and right legs, the greater the impact asymmetry. Note that the difference between left and right average intensities is an absolute measure, whereas impact asymmetry is a relative measure. This means at lower intensities, an average intensity difference of say 2Gs will yield a proportionally greater impact asymmetry than at higher intensities. Therefore, it's important to look at the context with which impact asymmetry is measured, and all available pieces of information are considered when interpreting this metric. Impact load is illustrated as bars in the second graph to add further context to the session in terms of load volume. Impact asymmetry tells us how an athlete is loading their lower limbs during a particular movement, activity, or session. Accompanied with impact load, which tells us how much an athlete is loading themselves, we can paint a much better picture of an athlete's loading history in terms of both volume and quality. Hopefully this has provided insight into how you may be able to use impact asymmetry to further analyze athlete load, and consequently, formulate your own training decisions based on objective measured data from IMU Step. If you have any questions or requests, please head to support.imeasuru.com. In the meantime, happy measuring everyone.